And we are live, according to the big board. Hello, one and all. Who's already here? Brett, Justin, Musical Aviator, Stella, Fox of Fate, Mystery 09. Hello, hello. Good to see you, one and all. Hope things are okay wherever you are. I guess they're okay here. We managed to get the worst air quality of any major city in the world today. So, hoorah! Misfoxification. The sweetness to the smoke is the taste of the end of Scummo's reign. He's not going away until the next election. I don't see anything happening to him until the next election, because they did actually change the rules after he turfed Turnbull. How soon we forget? For a moment I couldn't remember his name. Yes, you need a 2/3 majority just to call a spill now, and I think that is quite unlikely. I don't know if stuff went really badly. They might convince him to resign. I don't know, but I mean, there are people. There are fucking loons in his party who make him look reasonable. Hello, Abigail. Yes, your throat hurts. My throat hurts. I'm going to be drinking liquid the whole time. My throat feels really raw and dry. So if I drink a lot, I might have to have a toilet break at some point. Yeah, no, Fox. Sydney's had months of very bad air quality. But Melbourne's hit the heights today. Worst air quality in the world. And of course, Canberra's had quite a few days of very bad air. Melbourne's late to the game, but determined to catch up. Yeah, as the fires continue unabated. I mean, there is rain predicted in reasonable volumes for New South Wales. I don't know if it's going to fall in the right areas, and I don't know if it's going to be what do you call it? Enough. Hi, Peter. The cabinet will be sharpening their knives. I don't think so. I think they're all too wussy to do anything. It would be a very weird thing to do politically. What we actually need is a couple of by-elections for whatever reason. We want a couple of sitting Liberal National members to resign for whatever reason, and for there to be by-elections and for them to get smashed in the by-election. So the Libs lose their majority. That would be ace. Good call, musical aviator. I'm going to do a drink called Smoke on the Yarra. It has to be brown, which of course we can do. Lots of nice brown spirits, whiskies and Amaros and whatnot. Oh, actually, a Smoke on the Yarra would have whiskey and Amaro in it, I think. Be pretty thing. Pity you want the Queen to sack him. I mean, I know like Friendly Geordies did that video saying that's what should happen. I don't know if he was serious. I'll go out on a limb and saying wishing for an unelected foreign power to sack your elected government because you don't like what they're doing today is a fairly risky thing to do. Not something I advocate for. Yes, Glee, we do want to get rid of them ASAP, but it isn't going to be before next election. Actually, what are the current numbers? Australian Parliament numbers. That'll probably do it. Wikipedia only has the numbers. Currently, the government has 77 seats and Labor has 68 with 6 crossbenchers, most of whom are conservative. So, you need 76. No, wait a sec. The government's got 76. Okay, so they've got just over a majority. They've got 77 out of 151 lower house seats, which gives them a just workable majority. If they lost 2 by-elections, they would lose their majority, but they wouldn't lose government because even if you said Labor won both of those, that would then, the government would have 75 seats and Labor would have 70, and the Conservatives on the crossbenchers would almost certainly support the government, so they'd maintain government. Basically, for there to be a change, the government would have to lose, and it simply isn't going to happen before the next federal election. I mean, the government would have to lose 5 seats to Labor for Labor to have more seats than them, and Labor still wouldn't have a majority at that point. They'd just have more seats than the government. So the crossbenchers could still keep the government in power. For Labor to get the required majority of 76, the government would have to lose 8 seats to them. That's simply not going to happen before the next federal election. So they're into the next federal election. Oh, Peter, you like my voice. I think, yes, I have seen your favourable comments. Thank you. Still, Eric and Geordie wasn't being serious. That's why I said I don't know that he's being serious. I also actually reject his line that where I think he was possibly just being sly and trying to appeal to Liberal Party voters and saying, I don't hate everyone in the Liberal Party. Like, Tony Abbott is honourable compared to Scott Morrison. I actually don't support that at all. Tony Abbott is not honourable. Tony Abbott is the scum of the fucking earth. He's a racist, misogynist, homophobic, child rapist defending piece of shit. Just because Scummo's a prick doesn't make fucking Abbott good. Pete, do you think I should run for politics? Oh, what a horrible thought. Ugh. I couldn't run for any major party because I've done and said too many things that they'd go, oh, no, we can't get the bad publicity from you going around calling everyone cunts. I could run as an independent for the Senate. Weird people get independent seats in the Senate. Maybe I could do that. And I couldn't achieve anything. It'd be fun, and I'd be getting government money. Who knows? Good evening, Charlie. How are you this fine evening? But, yes, politics just seems gross and ugly to me. And it isn't something I have a lot of interest. Thanks, Peter. Thanks for your vote. That's good. Yeah, but it's just, I don't know, politics is just so gross. Yeah, so I actually have a video. I've already shot it. It's going up tomorrow where I talk about Abbott. For those who don't know, Tony Abbott is working as a volunteer firefighter. Now, the act of being a volunteer firefighter and fighting the fires is good. That is a good thing to do. It does not make Tony Abbott a good person. Tony Abbott is still a vile, worthless piece of shit. Horrible, fucked up people can do good things. It does not make them good people. Even if they do the good thing for a totally selfless reason, like they're not doing it to fool everyone. They're not doing it to cover up the fact they're an evil, soulless sack of shit. Doing a good thing doesn't make you a good person. When you've caused havoc and destruction to millions of people's lives, you're a piece of fucking shit, like Tony Abbott is. Justin, I think everyone's seen the story that the young Liberal in Queensland who abused the drag queen's story time died by suicide. He was apparently gay. I mean, self-loathing is a terrible thing. It's as the other thing. It's like you get this weird thing sometimes where someone, I get this all the time, like someone right-wing who hates feminists will highlight some truly fucking horrific right-wing woman and say, oh, if you support feminism, you have to support her because she's a woman. I go, that isn't how feminism works. Women are perfectly capable of being shitty. Marginalized people are more than capable of being worthless pieces of shit. Being a part of a marginalized group doesn't mean you are an inherently good person. Doesn't mean that you won't do absolutely vile, shitty things. It happens. Judge people on their merits. Hey, how's it going, buddy? How do you go? Oh, Emma's going to vote for me too. I have 2 votes. I should probably run. Fox, no AZ tonight. I have not heard from him. So barring any surprises, I did text him and I did send him a link. So barring any surprises, no AIDS tonight. But, he's a surprising guy. Who knows? Oh, yeah. Sorry, I just saw, Abigail, you raised the perfect point. It's like after Trump being elected, suddenly people think W. Bush is good because by comparison he's good. It's like, no, he's still fucking vile. And people say, oh, look, he's done this stuff. He's, been painting pictures of injured soldiers, the soldiers he injured with his illegal war. Oh, look, he's redeeming himself. Go, no, his illegal war killed thousands of American service people, cost trillions of dollars, and conservatively killed 1 million innocent Iraqis. He's fucking awful. Oh, and there was a very big what was I going to say? A very good point is like when pictures surfaced of Michelle Obama palling around with W and like Ellen DeGeneres palling around with W, and they're going, oh no, you need different people in your life, and he's a friend, and it's like, get fucked. Those are just really good examples that no matter what social values they preach, the rich are overwhelmingly likely to bond with the rich, no matter if on the surface the social values they preach are the opposite. They have more, a rich person who professes progressive views has much more in common than with a rich person who professes conservative views than they do with a poor person who expresses any fucking views. So, yes. So that Ms. Fox 15, as a feminist, you get asked if you support prostitution and other things. Answers the same, I support choice. Whenever anyone brings up sex work, I say, talk to sex workers. I mean, I'll tell you who I support, and, the people have listened. If you're not going to bring sex workers into the conversation, then I'm probably not going to listen to you. Oh God, each other thing. Oh my God, those creepy guys who the first thing when you say something about equality is, oh, so I can punch women now? Go, no, you should be punching anyone. What is wrong with you that that's the first place your tiny little head goes to? Jesus. Stella, there is a very weird thing with people who haven't watched the Joker movie passing judgment on it. I was really worried in the lead up to it because it did seem to be idolizing a violent incel character, which is a bad thing. But I saw it, and I don't feel that's what happened. The one criticism that I think is correct and is a quite reasonable criticism to make is it does give the vibe rather glibly that, because Joker had a mental illness, it's not really his fault he becomes a homicidal, murderous lunatic. And that's a really shitty thing to lay on people with mental illnesses. Big Pat, how are you doing, buddy? Nice to see you. And there was something else in the chat that I wanted. Oh, yes, Mr. A9, you said, have I heard about ContraPoints not understanding cancel culture? I have not watched all of that ContraPoints video because it's very long. I think I watched the first 20 minutes. Like ContraPoints videos, I'm always very cautious at people who attack ContraPoints because I have seen a shit ton of people making clearly bad faith arguments against her because they've decided they don't like her. The arguments, the attacks have either been ill-informed and unfounded, or they've been deliberately false and malicious because the person just doesn't like Natalie Wynn. And so I am super cautious about people who attack ContraPoints videos because I just don't trust them. I'm fine, but finding it hard to breathe, Pat. What's the air like where you are? You're closer to the fires than me. You see, Abigail, what I've seen of the ContraPoints video, I think she got cancel culture right. Well, actually, I think it's okay, because I haven't watched it all. So I actually do tend to fall on the side of cancel culture is not a thing. But what I saw of the video, Natalie was making some fairly good points about some people tend to go overboard on the basis of either very poor evidence or outright malice. And I do see that. I think, it's a question of semantics. When people talk about cancel culture, what is it? I think call-out culture is a better phrasing of it. The phrase cancelling came out when people just went like, almost lightheartedly. It was from people who knew they had no power to actually affect a rich, powerful person. Oh, you got to go, Peter. Thanks for dropping by. They have no power to affect a rich, powerful person, but they found out something about that person they don't like, and they just go, fuck it, they're cancelled. I'm never spending money or supporting that person again because of the thing they've said or done, or because of the thing I perceive them to have said or done. And it was just it was really a personal statement of fuck that person. But of course, you do get internet mobs, but they don't have any power. They can make your life uncomfortable, and if you have sort of staked your livelihood on being popular with the crowd, you are at risk of the crowd turning on you at any given moment. It's a precarious thing. Okay, Stella, I noticed you said you don't think it glibly absolved Joker. I don't think that's what I said, but I easily could have. I don't think it glibly absolved Joker, but I think it's reasonable for people dealing with mental illness or people who work in the mental health field to feel uncomfortable with the way the movie. I don't think it's unreasonable to say that the movie portrayed Joker's violence as a natural result of, well, not just of his mental illness, but of that and the constant abuse and being neglected. Justin, do I think Alan Jones... That's a left field one. Do I think Alan Jones's listeners would abandon him if he publicly stated his sexuality? How could they not? I mean, I suppose some people are very good at denial, but how could anybody not know he's gay? I'm at a loss to understand how that could affect his career at this point. So where was it, Miss Fox, about? About the Joker. Why are people petrified of being uncomfortable? Not everything can be sugarcoated. Yes, I agree that you do get this vibe that people think like art, creativity should only make you feel good. Protagonists should only be good or portray good things. And Joker and Rick and Morty are good recent good recent examples of some people going, oh, it's bad that protagonist is a bad person. It's like, sometimes protagonists are bad. I remember way back when young Russell Crowe was in the movie Romper Stomper, where he's playing a neo-Nazi skinhead in Footscray. Famous Australian film reviewer David Stratton was affronted by the whole thing, said he couldn't review it. It was a sick and dangerous film. Apparently because the film didn't explicitly beat you over the head with the message, the Nazis are bad, he's the bad person. David Stratton was apparently upset that a neo-Nazi was cast as sexy, charismatic, and intelligent. And it's like, well, I'd hate to fucking break it to you, dude, but some very, very, very bad people are sexy, charismatic, and intelligent. There's this ridiculous stereotype that bad people look bad. I don't know. It's very weird. Thanks, Good Spirit, for all the good wishes. And you don't have to be to work till 2. That's good for you. Threw your back out on Sunday. That's not good. I'm just trying. I know a lot of people didn't like the video where she had Buck Angel do voice acting to pretend to be John Waters. And I understand why Buck Angel angers and alienates people. And again, I haven't watched all of the recent ContraPoints video where she talks about why she used Buck Angel and how people reacted. So I don't know her complete story for it. From what I saw, I think at worst, it was like from a position of ignorance that she had no idea that Buck Angel would have that effect on people. And I know basically nothing about Buck Angel apart from what ContraPoints explained in that video. And I think the generational difference is an important one. It's not an excuse as such, but when you get these generational divides, often there's problems on both sides of the argument with not understanding the different experience that the other generation has had. Yeah, Safa, Buck Angel is a trans man who does the porn. And how old is he? Let me ask the Googs. Buck Angel age. Wow, he's 57. Okay, so Buck Angel is like young boomer, old Gen X. So he's from a very different experience. So, grew up without the internet, all this sort of stuff. And young folk today, occasionally I feel don't really take into account the different life experiences that some people have. But but by all accounts, Buck Angel is at least somewhat prone to say really quite obnoxious things. But once you're dealing with sexuality, sexual identity, emotion tends to take over really fast, and Buck Angel will have been an outsider his whole life, and so is possibly predisposed to get into a fighty mood very quickly, maybe more quickly than the circumstances really warrant, and that sort of thing spirals pretty quickly with a feedback cycle. But I certainly don't know enough about him to say anything conclusive. So, you saw Buck Angel with your own eyes at Sexpo. There you go. I did not realize he came out for that. I haven't been to Sexpo for years, but yes, it's a bit of a thing. Yeah, Charlie. See, what you say, Buck Angel wasn't brought on to spout opinions, was literally just to do less than 30 seconds of voice acting. But I guess that also highlights that concept of cancel culture or call-out culture. It's like, no, because he said things that I think are bad, you're not allowed to support him at all. Oh, Fox, you want me to open the stream? I could open the stream. I could do that. Hazy actually likes it when I open the stream. I might do that. I've got a specific idea for the second half cocktail. Actually, I made a concoction during the week. I don't know if you've seen these things in the supermarket. They're tea bags, but they're designed for cold water. So they're like fruit teas and whatnot. It's designed to give you a refreshing sort of fruity tea beverage. And it's designed to come out in cold water. So, of course, it's very good for coloring and flavoring spirits as well. So I got a blood orange flavored tea bag and steeped it in some vodka. And it was very blood. It made the vodka go very, very... I'll show you, in fact. Just back here. Ugh. I think there was an artificial color in it, quite honestly. It's it looks purple on there. Very, very, very dark red. Purple leaning towards black. And that was a blood orange flavored thing. Oh, wait. Ding. What's the ding? It's the AIDSy man. What's he saying? He says he's going to join us. Well, let's see. Let's see. Something could still stop him at the last minute. Oh, Fox, you've got green apple vodka and green apple gin. There you go. Hey, Pat, what's this? Is there a lot of smoke where you are? Because I think you're way closer to the fires than I don't think. I know you're way closer to the fires than I am. I've been country Victoria. But, yeah, it's... Oh no, you've riled Stella up by teasing with your green apple vodka and gin. So what I've decided I'm going to make for the second half is a martini. Get it? Martini. Vodka martini with the tea infused vodka. And I'm actually going to do a martini variant that's in my Bible, Cocktail Chronicles. Got a few martini variants in here. And the one I'm going to have a go at is called a Turf Club. Now, this is to make it with gin, but of course, yeah, martinis are either gin or vodka. So I'm going to substitute in my tea-infused vodka instead of gin. So it's going to be vodka, gin, dash of absinthe, dash of maraschino liqueur, and bitters. So, standard martini is just gin or vodka and vermouth, and maybe a splash of bitters in there. Yes. Luke, you've seen pictures of Ballarat. I imagine everywhere in the country is full of smoke. Yes, it's a weird old. That's it, Charlie. An olive is quite common in a martini, and if you've ever wondered what people mean by a dirty martini, that's more than just an olive. You put a little bit of the olive brine in the martini. Yeah, there's some interesting variants on the martini. There's one they call a Little Italy. No, wait, that's a bloody Manhattan variant. It's like some of the classic cocktails are an old-fashioned Manhattan and a martini, and this gives variants on all of them. So there's the martini, a martinez, which is vermouth, gin, simple syrup, maraschino liqueur, and bitters. Tuxedo is gin and sherry rather than vermouth. Turf Club's the one I'm going to make. It's one called the kangaroo cocktail, which is just vodka and vermouth. So it's like a vodka martini, basically. And there's one they call a fiddy fiddy, because the traditional martini is twice as much gin or vodka as vermouth. And the fiddy fiddy is fiddy fiddy, same amount, one shot of gin, one shot of vermouth. Oh, look, we're saying about the olive. Here's a thing about the olive. The olive in the martini is perhaps the quintessential cocktail garnish, preserved in neon and clip art for the ages. It's pretty, but it's also pointless. A good martini merits a short spray of oil from a lemon zest and nothing more as a garnish. The drink neither desires nor deserves to be laden with a tepid, salty olive. What globe-trotting bar educator Angus Winchester refers to as the testicles of the devil. That warm the drink and add an inescapable brininess. But let's leave it to Devoto once more. Nothing can be done with people who put olive in martinis. presumably because in some desolate childhood hour, someone refused them a dill pickle, and so they go through life lusting for the taste of brine. So this particular purist really doesn't like the brine. Stella, you had the first Manhattan you had was amazing. Trying to get bum and work. Well, see, okay. So a martini is gin or vodka and vermouth. A Manhattan is whiskey and vermouth. See, and it's going to also depend what sort of whiskey they use in it. I think purists say it should be a rye whiskey. Some people might make it with bourbon. It certainly isn't a Manhattan if you make it with Scotch. But the Manhattan variants in here, a Boothby, which is rye or bourbon with vermouth, bitters, and a little bit of champagne to top it. A Marconi Wireless, instead of whiskey, is Applejack, which is an American apple brandy, which I actually have. So it's Applejack, vermouth, and bitters. A Brooklyn is whiskey, vermouth, maraschino liqueur, and Amer Picon. I don't even know what that is, Amer Picon. Then there's a Saratoga, which is rye and cognac and vermouth and bitters, or a Greenpoint, which is rye, vermouth, chartreuse and bitters. I like the sound of that, actually. Or even a few more Manhattans. A Little Italy, rye, vermouth, and Cynar, which is a bitter Italian aperitif. A Moto Guzzi, which is bourbon and Punta Mez, which I have that stuff, actually. That's Punta Mez is, again, an Italian, it's a bit of vermouth. So it's not like normal vermouth. It's halfway between an aperitif, an Amaro, and vermouth. Then there's a Black Manhattan, racist, bourbon and Averna. And bitters. I assume Averna is a black spirit. I don't know. Or an Uptown Manhattan, which is bourbon and Amaro and bitters, or a little bit of cherry hearing. But there are all sorts of fun things in there. Saf, have I heard of a drink called Kvass? No, I have not. Pat, I have actually answered you several times that I'm fine today. Thank you for asking. Abigail, Boothby was, you nerd. Boothby was the name of a groundskeeper at Starfleet Academy in Star Trek. There you go. Oh, Fox of Fate. You showed me that website for Experience Bar. An interesting take on the Manhattan called Death in the West. Let me have a look what the actual recipe is. Bar Death in the West. It's the Red Dead Redemption. Let's see what the actual recipe is. If the page. Bourbon, vermouth, bitters, and gunsmoke. Okay. So what is it? It's bourbon, vermouth, bitters, and powdered cinnamon. So that's the only difference. Oh, and here's what they do. You form the cinnamon powder into a small pile and light it. Wait for it to begin smoking. Then upend an old-fashioned glass over the top, allowing it to fill with smoke. Then the rest of it is actually just standard Manhattan ingredients, bourbon, vermouth, and bitters. And then you take the glass off, it's got all the smoke out, and put the drink in to smoke. I have seen several variations of drinks with smoke in them. It's common to do it with an old-fashioned, but yes. Right, Sava. Kvass is a fermented dark rye bread drink, kind of like cola, popular in Eastern Europe. Well, yes, there's some pretty wild drinks in Eastern Europe. Look at Kvass. How's Kvass described? Traditional fermented Slavic and Baltic beverage made from rye bread. So there you go. It's So if it's fermented, it's a bit like a beer made from bread. Yes, Pat, thank you. My cats are good. Mimsy's not with us tonight. Don't know where she is, why she's not hanging out. But yeah. So yes, there's probably three of the most traditional cocktails. The Manhattan, which is whiskey and vermouth, the martini, which is gin or vodka and vermouth, and the old fashioned. And they all have a bit of bitters in them. And the old fashioned, which is just whiskey with a sweetener, whether it's sugar or sugar syrup, and bitters. So it's just whiskey, usually with a big block of ice, and something to just take the edge off the whiskey. Something that probably hardcore whiskey aficionados are not into. They probably think it's sacrilege, but I think that's boring. Cocktails nice. I went to the movies with Mrs. Angry on the weekend. Went and saw the Star Wars, and we went to a cocktail bar just before, and it's a very good cocktail bar. And I tried to make one of their drinks. See if I can find the ingredients. Edit. Turn it over so I can see it. Done. Right. Oh yeah, they call this one Willow in the Winds. Gin, cognac, lillet, lychee, and citrus. I tried to make that. I haven't got it right yet. But they have what they call their house cocktail. I'll see if I can find it, because it was a whiskey one. And I think, like, as a scotch, I think scotch drinkers would actually like it. It was like scotch and chartreuse and a few other things. Questions. No, where's it? Don't you have your cocktail menu on here? No, I wait. Hard to navigate website. Is that the problem? Oh, that was it. All right. The Hawksburn, that's what they call it. And their website doesn't work on mobile. Okay, well, that's stupid. Their website doesn't work on mobile. Well, Pat, you're seeing the movie tomorrow. Enjoy the movies. Ooh, Danny, a Billie Eilish themed cocktail. I love. Oh, and there's Aidsy. Speaking of things I don't love, there's Aidsy.
Hello, you do love me because I'm on your device. Thank you for letting me on your device. And you can hear that my voice is almost back to normal. And you can also see that I can do.
I can see you won't sit still.
I'm doing chair dancing. Chair dancing.
You are.
Yeah, chair dancing.
Yeah. All right. So I've been trying to find a cocktail recipe. So bear with me. I'm going to see if I can menu the Hawksburn.
What is it?
Well, it's a place I went to on the weekend with Mrs. Angry. Here we go. The Hawksburn, a libation for discerning drinkers. So it's Scotch, Dubonnet aperitif. That's I think actually Dubonnet I don't think's Italian, but that's like a bitter liqueur and chartreuse and bitters. It was nice. I had it like when I was first drinking it. I was like, this is like 7 out of 10's, quite good, whatnot. But not then it's Scotch. But it's one of those drinks that gets better with each time you have a drink of it. And so by the end, I was thinking, if you're a whiskey drinker, you would really like this cocktail.
And I'm a whiskey drinker, and I really would like this cocktail.
Mm.
Well, you should make it for me next time that we're in physical space together.
I will. I absolutely will.
You'll go, Hazy, have this cocktail. And I go, ooh, what are you trying to do?
Yeah.
Make me a little bit tipsy to probably take
Yes,
advantage of me?
that's what's happening. So I want to help Danny. Danny wants to come up with a Billie Eilish themed cocktail. And I like Billie Eilish's music, very funky sort of dark pop music.
Yeah.
So, and a quick hello to Big Boy as well. Hello, Big
Oh,
Boy.
I'm going to try and
Um,
say hello to the live people. Look
yeah.
at that.
So, Danny, I need a vibe. I need a vibe for the cocktail. Like what spirits or flavors do you like? And then we've got to go like, what would be a Billie Eilish vibe? Like, Bad Guy springs to mind. That was the really big hit that she had last year. It's like, I'm a tough guy, like a kind of rough guy. I'm the bad guy. So I feel like the drink's got to be dark. Like, it's not going to be a light one. It's not going to be like the bad rye. Charlie. Oh my God, Charlie just knocked that one out of the park. It's got to be a bad rye. So rye whiskey. Okay,
Yep.
Danny, you like greenish hue. Oh my God, I'm just thinking of an absolutely dead. Those three components. Like, I don't think I can come up with a better name for it than the bad rye. But Danny likes gin and wants something with greenish hues. So that's now put into my head rye whiskey, gin, and green chartreuse, which, let's get real, that's deadly.
Yes.
It probably needs a bit of lemon juice to take the edge. Oh, no, I think I put
What about what
some
about
sugar.
what about some Applejack in there?
I don't want every bit of alcohol under the sun in one drink.
Oh, well, you were talking about, making it sweet and lemony. I was
I,
just
I,
thinking,
I was thinking of putting some sugar syrup in, and that's like Billie Eilish's little bit of sweetness in there as well.
yeah,
Um, oh, Fox, I don't have any green absinthe. If I had green absinthe, I would definitely do green absinthe, but I have blue absinthe, so that would not work. No, Charlie, it doesn't sound gross. I'm going to take. I'm going to do a quick search. Rye whiskey and gin cocktail, because I reckon there'll be something. Is that the Boulevardier? Let me have a look. Because I'm sure that's a combo people do. This one, the Boulevardier. What's the actual recipe? You got to scroll down a fucking web page that keeps generating ads. And where is the fucking ingredients? Oh no, that's whiskey and Campari. I don't want that. I hate Campari. The Old Pal. That's a good name for a drink, isn't it? What's in an Old Pal? Whiskey, vermouth, Campari. Fuck off with your Campari, honestly. Hate Campari. I had a very bad. I'm sure I've told the story heaps of times in the stream. I was on a date and so this is like at least 20 years ago, and I thought I was being sophisticated, and I thought I liked Campari and ordered Campari at a bar, and it's an incredibly bitter liqueur, and I didn't realize that. And so I'm sitting here touring, let's have a little sip of my Campari that I ordered because I'm sophisticated, and I was like, mmm. And then you can't admit I'm an idiot who ordered something he doesn't like because he thought he liked it. And so I had to drink the whole thing, just sit there and go, mmm.
mind you, at the same time, I was having a drink, a sophisticated drink with a Frenchman, and same
Yes.
thing. I was drinking some shit that was bitter as fuck, because I thought, it's port time, yay,
Yes.
and I'm going to get a nice port. And he's ordered this stuff, and I'm just going, oh, be French then. And he's grabbed it, and I've sipped it and gone, oh my God. And he's grabbed his and then just put, because the coffee was happening, he just puts sugar in it. Fucking, like he doesn't care. Just
Yeah.
puts sugar in it, stirs it a bit, sip, another sugar, and then happily goes on. I put sugar in mine because I'm being sophisticated, and I sip it and go, yeah, that's all right. Then he gets a lemon and squeezes it in mine and his, and I'm
Yeah.
going, what the fuck are you doing with this drink? It's not the drink anymore. You've just half like filled it up with, and then I sipped it and went, that is awesome.
Nice.
That is awesome. And we had 5 of them. And
Yeah.
I think he was trying to take advantage of me because we'd had
Maybe.
aperitifs, and then we'd had pre-teasers, which were Scotch, bloody
Yeah.
single malt Scotch. And then we had
Mm.
bloody food, wine. We had to have red wine and white wine
Yep.
because there was fish and veal. And then we had to have a cheese platter with actual port, and then we had port after. And I'll admit it, I was mildly fucked.
Yeah.
And yeah, then he gave me a pill.
Oh.
And then he took advantage of me, which he could have done before dinner because he was gorgeous.
Yeah.
I was hoping he was going to take advantage.
Hmm.
And I told him before, you didn't have to spend the money. I would have gone there. And he was going, ha, ha, ha. That's very funny. Yes, I'm disappointed now that I spent the money. Ah, well.
Oh,
We'll just have to go there anyway. And yeah, next time I seen him, he did it again.
damn.
And he was just the guy that liked, going out to a restaurant and getting right into it. And
Yeah.
one night we went there, frankly, pilled up.
Yeah.
And we had a cut down version because all the waiters knew him, right? It was like a hardcore restaurant, and the waiters knew him. And they went, hello, Claude. And they gave him his table, and he tipped them all quite generously.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
they didn't even care about the tips because it was Claude
Yeah.
and he was fun. And they'd come around and chat to Claude. And
Nice.
sometimes they'd chat in French so that no one else could hear.
Yes.
And the waiter said, don't worry, Claude will tell you everything that we said in a minute. And they said, oh, we got a new cocktail. We're going to try it out on your guest, which is me.
Yeah.
And I got a new cocktail, and they wanted to know, how was that? And I was going, that's nice. And of course, one night I'm pilled up, and they come around and they're laughing, going, oh, we're going to try new things with you guys tonight. Claude laughs, and I'm going, oh my God. And yeah, they tried all kinds of new things, and they said, oh, we're gonna suggest your food all night, and they did. Yeah, we had to have sorbets between each course.
Oh,
We
palate
had
cleanser. Yeah.
6 friggin' courses.
Yeah.
And they weren't huge, like, bloody,
No.
you're going to die if you eat all of them. They're quite small, but there was a lot of them. And we had 2 soups. You know what I mean? You don't have 2 soups. We had 3 fishes. We had 5 different meats. And the wines were all suited to each course. So, you're going to walk out there fucked. And thankfully, we had the pills first because there's the old adage, beer and grass. Beer and grass, you're on your ass. Grass and beer, you're in the clear. Works for pills
That's
too.
not a saying.
So, hey.
That's what I'm saying. What's like? beer and pills, you're feeling ill. Ill pills and beer, you're in the clear.
Yeah. So we're fucked, and then wildly fucked.
Yeah.
And then so we're there at the end of the night,
Yeah.
because it was a big night. We were like having a food baby,
Yeah.
and
Oh yeah. Yeah.
they're just eating cocktails and port, and laughing. And we were both laughing about going to the toilet, because if you broke the seal, you're screwed.
Oh yes. Yeah.
And so we were laughing about that, and holding on. And then I lost the bet, and I went. And we would come back, and the waiters, when they were finished, because everybody was leaving, they sat down with us and started having cigarettes and were just chatting with us. And Claude said to me, and this was the big lesson, because, I'd had all this stuff before because I'm very sophisticated. And Claude said to me, understand that waiters have ears. Don't fucking put the waiters in a position where you've told them something really full on that they've either got to hide or tell everyone. Don't put them in that position, which was a really interesting way to put it. He wasn't saying, the waiters are horrible gossips and don't say anything, or they can, fuck you up. He was saying, don't put them in the position of having to hold on to that information. Interesting way to put it. Anyway, I liked Claude. All the waiters came and sat down with Claude because, he was a cool guy. And they started going, so, you've been here a few times. You're cool. Tell us your story. So I'm going, yeah, okay. And I had always respected waiters, but it was the first time I got the opportunity to go, these guys have a story. They have a life. They're not just guys in really nice clothes.
Yeah.
They have a really full existence. They love their job. When you go to a restaurant and the waiters love what they're doing, they want to be there. They want to be waiters. That's an amazing restaurant experience. It's fucking amazing. And so these guys were very proud of their work. And it's one of the reasons that Claude tipped them all the time, is because they were fucking excellent. And Claude was quite loved, not just because he was a good tipper, because he was a good guy. And I was very fortunate to be with them. And so everyone else fucked off, and it's like, okay, staffies. And the real booze came out, and the real other powders came out. And what a night. What a night. Me and Claude were supposed to go home, and we had friends who came home with us. I was only a young fellow, and I learned many things hanging out with Claude. And then he fucking went overseas.
Claude times were over.
He went to New York because they offered him a position in New York for his job. And of course, he said, I've got to take it. The company said you're going, and it's a phenomenal amount of money. So, I go, do you need a valet? No, buddy. And he gave me a going away gift, which was lovely. Right. Lovely ending.
Well, I'm going to make a bad rye cocktail for Danny now.
Yeah, a bad rye cocktail sounds. Oh man, down the road.
Rye whiskey, gin,
Only way to leave this town is in a box or
where did I
in
put
a
my
train.
green chartreuse?
Digging on the coal, digging on the coal.
All right,
Bow, bow, bow. Bing,
and I got a
bow,
lemon
bow, bow.
lime.
I'm singing country songs while you're doing this, by the way.
That's good. That's
Um,
good. Where's my
I'm
cockroach?
singing something that might be from Justice. I can't even remember the town from Justice. You can't leave except if you're in a box or in on the road.
Okay. So we are inventing the bad rye in honor of Billie Eilish.
Yes.
All right. So it's going to be winging this, playing it by ear. Una shot of rye whiskey.
Right.
Una shot of rye whiskey. I'm going to do half a shot of gin. Safa wants to know what you're drinking, Aids. Is it just coffee or?
Oh, yeah, it's just coffee. I normally drink coffee out of a smaller mug because what I've been doing lately is my smaller mug has a pop top, which doesn't allow coffee to spill out. But because I'm a lot more awake right now, I'm
Right.
drinking out of the normal mug and careful
Right.
not to put it near my computer or keyboard. I'm, drinking out here. And if I spill it on my pants and t-shirt, well,
Well,
I'll be wet on the crotch.
yeah.
And I've been wet on the crotch before.
Yes,
Yes.
I'm sure you have.
When I've been washing up the dishes. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You know what I mean? You wash up the dishes
Yes.
and you get wet on the crotch and down the t-shirt.
Say no more.
Yeah. Well, I'm wearing gloves
Yeah.
at the time. Except I've got to get new gloves because I've got a hole in one of the fingers. And the wood is getting in.
That's a downer.
It's hot. So I don't want to do that anymore.
Okay. I think it probably does a little bit of sweetener because Billie Eilish is sweet. So a little bit is my agave syrup, but whatever sweetening you want.
Do you reckon Billie Eilish is sweet? I'm not sure.
Just a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, brother.
Mostly dark, and for a little bit of usual. I got a lemon lime juice drink. So
yeah, nice.
Shot of that. So lemon lime. Right. Now we're going to give that a go. I think don't give me a stylish glass. I need to be drinking this out of a stylish glass. This one.
Oh fuck! There's no point coughing to the side unless I've got my microphone covered.
My crystal head martini glass.
Oh yeah, show it off. I can't afford things like that. It's not like you'd give it to me anyway.
A little bit of a shaky.
It stirs me that you're getting really good at that.
So Danny's saying this is the Billie Eilish featuring Ariana Grande. Stella likes where she came back in on the conversation. So, all right. So this is El Grande Experiment. But this is based on my experience. I think this will work. Oh, it's come out. I thought the rye whiskey might dominate the colour, and it hasn't really. And yeah, Danny, as you're suggesting, you could do a garnish. You could do a mint or a lime garnish on this. I'm not going to bother with a garnish, but you see. So this is the bad rye.
Yeah, it's a bit orange.
I
like a bit orange. How is it?
That's really good. Oh yeah, no, and then it's like the chartreuse and the rye comes sneaking up on you. Oh, hello, governor. Did you forget about us?
All right, next time we meet,
Mhm.
you've got to make me a few of those.
Oh, absolutely.
And we
No,
might
no,
even
that
try
works.
scotch instead of rye.
Oh yeah, I've got scotch. So
Yeah, but I'm saying in the cocktail, we'll have to
mm.
try rye and then scotch to
Oh
see, because
look,
I'm a scotch fan.
at, at, at,
Um,
at some point when I get the cocktail YouTube and Instagram channels up and running, I want to do not just make cocktails. I want to explore a few things. But one thing I want to do, and I probably want to get a few people around for this, do taste tests. Make the same basic cocktail, but with the different whiskies. Like, so if I make a whiskey sour, make one with bourbon, make one with rye, make one with scotch, and have the people do little taste tests. Talk about how different it is to use the different whiskies in what's essentially the same cocktail. Stella's asking, do I record the cocktail recipes anywhere? Well, not the ones I do in the live stream,
I was
but
going
I
to
intend to.
say on the live stream, they're recorded on video.
Yeah,
You
but
can
you look
go
at my
back and get them.
Instagram. I put lots of them on Instagram.
Because
But
you're an influencer.
yeah, I'm an influencer. That's what I am.
Do you know the Stacy, the Lacey sisters, or Stacy sisters, Tammy and Amy? They're large ladies,
Right.
who who basically have an Instagram, not an Instagram, a YouTube channel,
Yeah.
and they came to light when they did the Chubby Bunny challenge.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
One of these ladies is so large that she's got a bump on her forehead,
Oh, yes. Yes, I've seen that. Yeah.
right? And the doctors have, talked to them, and it's basically there's no more room to put fat, so the
It's
body's
exploding
used
out the
forehead.
forehead.
And they're giggly. I mean, they laugh with each other.
Yeah.
But they've just turned up to their version of Doctor Now to get weight replacement ceremony.
Hmm.
Weight replacement ceremony, weight reduction surgery. But I like weight replacement ceremony. I'm going to have that.
Next full moon. A
Yeah,
weight replacement. So
replacement
you
ceremony.
weigh the same, but it's a different thing that's in you now.
You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Yeah,
Yeah.
weight replacement.
That
Um,
that that has something going for it.
yeah. I would like to lose 4 kilos and have that turned into sperm. Anyway, um, okay, boss of the house has latched onto this program because he's deeply into my 600-pound life, and he's deeply into the
Mm.
the largish folk,
Yeah. Yeah.
because yeah, he's obsessed. Um, I'm not going to say fetish,
Turn it into a
but it's
chubby
a
chaser.
fetish.
Mm.
And anyway, and I've been watching him feed me. Anyway, so these two sisters have been doing their thing,
Yes.
and one of them is so large she's on a walker, and to be fair, they're not bedbound, right?
Mm.
They actually walk around. One of them, not so much.
Yeah.
Gets puffed going to the mailbox and back.
Yeah.
Uh, Not a good look.
Mm.
The mailbox is approximately 700 meters from the house.
It's a long way.
It is a long way. I, to go down the chemist every morning, walk 1.5 kilometers.
Yeah.
It's yeah.
Mm.
We worked it out one day.
Yeah.
just on the Google map, because I said, oh, I've got to get more kilometres in because blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And boss of the house says, well, you get 1.5 in from the chemist. I went, no,
Yeah.
I fucking don't. And then we worked it out on the map, and I went, no, I fucking do.
Yeah.
So yeah, so they're gonna do this thing,
Yeah.
and they're gonna make this happen, and of course they're not, and there's going to be trials and tribulations in the way because it's
Yeah.
TLC, but they went to the doctor, and the doctor said, "Have you got any work?" And they said, "Yes, we are YouTube
Influences.
artists, and we are influencers in Instagram and YouTube." And so me and boss of the house nearly shat laughing because the fact that they were influencers.
Yes.
And of course, as a result, they were expecting treatment
Yes.
from all kinds of folk.
Yeah.
And it was the kind of treatment that was reserved for people who could pay for first class.
Yes.
Cab got in a cab,
Yeah.
and they had to get a special cab,
Yes.
and they had to get special help to get into the special cab, and they were annoyed when the special cab turned up and said, "Righto, we'll help you in," and he started the meter. What a bastard! What a bastard to start the meter when it took 25 minutes to get them in the cab. And they were going, "You can't start the meter." And it's like, well, we have to. It's policy. You can ring up my boss. Here's the number.
Yeah.
And they rang up the boss and said, "Oh, when did he start the meter?" And they said, "Well, when he got the ramp down, I got my husband to push me in, and then off we went." And I think that this bloody stuff has got bugger all to do with anything else except for find more oil. So yeah, you get that. My friend,
Sorry, I just want to answer a couple questions people have been asking. Namely, Big Boy wants to know if there are fires near us. No, the fires are hundreds of kilometers away, but they're so intense we're literally choking to death on smoke at the moment.
I went to the mall today, and there was fucking smoke in the shopping mall.
Yeah.
The HVAC couldn't handle the smoke because it's so thick that it couldn't actually handle the smoke. It was misty in the thing. We haven't had a sunlight for about 2-3 weeks. It's orange every day.
We had the worst air quality in the world of any major city today.
Yep.
The world. So, but the actual fires are hundreds of kilometers away. So Safa's commenting, we get Dan Murphy ads. Does that mean I drink a lot of cocktails? All my ads on Facebook are for booze in one way or another, because I'm always posting stuff about cocktails. So, yes, all the targeted advertising is booze. I just live with that. And Danny wanted to know what was the sweetener I use. This is the one I use most often. I got from Costco agave syrup. It's like from Mexican agave plants. This is the same base that tequila's made from, but this is just a syrup. And the sole ingredient in this is organic blue agave nectar. There is nothing else in it. Tastes like golden syrup for an Australian. This tastes like golden syrup. But for sweeteners, it's really, you can even make your own sugar syrup. It's real easy. It's literally in a saucepan, boil some water, 50-50 water and sugar, and just boil it up so the sugar is dissolved into the water. Leave it to simmer for a while. Leave it to cool, and then you've got sugar syrup. It's that easy. Dan Murphy sells sugar syrup too.
I'm so upset with you right
Why?
now. Well, because of your unpatriotism.
Oh yeah.
You know, you just proudly eat bloody Mexican stuff. When you know and I know there's a wall being built by Mexicans because they're cheaper. There's a wall being built to keep Mexicans out. And you just casually cruise on and get peyote juice to make yourself be drug-addled and then drink the worm. You got to chew on the worm. And then go back to America and go, yeah, man, I've got the answers to peace and love. It's all about letting bloody Mexicans in to do cheap farm labor, which I think is a bit bloody rich, right? Because they all go, oh, Mexicans, they're fucked. Oh, no, we don't like that. We don't like that. And every fucking morning, there's a guy runs around in a fucking truck picking up guys who sit on a corner and go, do you want a day's work? And they're all, fuck yes. They jump in the truck. They go out to the farm. They pick the shit or chip the cotton or whatever it is. And they do it hard and fast. Then they get paid a shitty pay, but it's enough for their family to eat. And they go home. They get, and if they're lucky, they get dropped off at the same point they started. And then they fucking go home and feed the family. And, you know, they're all saying, oh, no, it's bad, it's bad, it's bad. Except they don't mind the undocumented fucking working on the fucking labour jobs. Don't mind that at all.
They'll have an undocumented nanny.
Oh, no, they shouldn't have health care. Oh, no, they shouldn't do that.
They'll have an undocumented dude landscaping and mowing their lawn.
Yeah.
The double standard's ridiculous.
It's unbelievable, but this wall is going to be built by Mexicans, which I think is hilarious. Why is it going to be built by Mexicans? Because the costings have come in, and the only way this wall can possibly go up is if the cost price is the labour cost price is something like 10%. Now, let's also remember that it's Trump. So he can get stuff done and not pay for it on a massive scale and has done before. You know, a Trump deal is where he simply doesn't pay. There was one deal which always interested me, who said to Trump, oh, this is great. We're glad you're coming in with this. So the escrow will be set up on Monday. And he's going, what? Yes, the escrow will be set on Monday. We'll be putting in our guarantee and you'll be putting your guarantee. So the money we owe each other will be put in escrow and kept aside until such time as we're happy with the outcome. And it's all inspected and it'll all be...
very quickly, I'm saying because Danny's leaving his Dungeons and Dragons night. Well, that's pretty cool. So yes,
excellent.
Danny's gonna try the bad rye on the weekend. In terms of the sweetener, just like a little bit, like half a shot, or a spoonful or two. And like I use the Garvey syrup, you could make your own sugar syrup. You could use honey. You could use maple syrup. You can even use super fine sugar that will dissolve when you shake the cocktail. Just something to lightly sweeten it. So, they all have their own flavors. So just get creative, basically. Yeah, Charlie raises a good point. Everything you're saying about Mexicans in America, backpackers in Australia doing the seasonal fruit picking that the farmers otherwise can't get anyone to do for $20 a day. So It's people are absolutely dependent on this cheap, not altogether legal labor.
Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, so many business cases rely on the fact that they're going to get cheap as shit labor
Mm.
for their harvest. They rely on that. And the disgusting thing too is that they're getting such massive subsidies by the government that it really doesn't matter if they come in too high, because the government has given them a quota to hit. They will have to be viable for a little while, and then they are basically crushed and crashed.
Yeah.
Um, the the bloody
Okay. Yeah. I'm going to throw
yeah.
this one back. Remember when you were saying about replacing 4 kilograms of weight um, with sperm? That was Stella's response. That I think she doesn't know about your ball bag story. And Big Boy's going as well. So bye to you. Have
Boy,
you
big boy.
heard the 80s story of the incredible growing ball bag?
Yes. Yes, Stella. Yeah. There's a lot of story behind the incredible growing ball bag.
Yeah. So,
And then it's splitting open.
yeah, and then you should go and watch the whole long version of it on YouTube by looking up AIDS Code Grey, where the whole show that tell the stories of AIDS's rather incredible misadventures.
hmm One of them looked like it was going to kill me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Stella knows people have got a mango farm up north. Yeah, and if they can't get the backpackers on the scabby wages, they're screwed because their whole business model relies on paying someone at most. You falling out of your chair there, buddy. Um, uh, Relies on paying them at most like a quarter of a legal wage. So, and also working them for far more than 8 hours a day as well. So they're locked into this business model that relies on very shady dealings.
Well,
Shady dealings.
there's another thing too, which blew my mind on the weekend.
Yeah.
Was okay. All right. You look at the black folks in America, right? And they're
Okay.
there because
They are.
of the triangle slave trade
Yes.
of the 1600s and more,
Yes.
16, 1700s, right? And it was massive. The black folks in America, Western Africa, sold these guys to the slave traders who were from England, and then they took the slaves to America, and then they went back to Britain with orders to go back out and get slavers, and then this spread pretty much right up the east coast until it hit the industrial states. Interesting, which wasn't into it, but the agricultural states in the south
Yeah.
deeply into it.
Yeah.
And so, a whole culture and society
Mm.
grew up, and it's still here today, right?
Yeah.
It's still around today. You've got white folks who are innately superior in their
Yeah.
heads to black folks who are innately angry at the
Yeah.
white folks. And that's a
Yeah.
big social divide that is still going on. All right. You ask yourself about the slave trade right now, and you count up how many slaves came over in the triangle slave trade, and it's a massive number.
Yes.
It's something in the order of 2.5 million people. And then you ask a high school class, how many slaves do you think there are in America right now? And they go, well, fucking, it won't be fucking 2.5 million. It'll be probably 225,000, and hidden really well. And then the teachers and doctors will turn around and say, no, it's 4 million people in America. In America, there are 4 million slaves right now. If you then pop across to China, there's something like 45 million slaves. In Australia, this is Australia, right? There are something like 1,000 slaves in Australia. It is one of the highest bloody, what is it? Number one, criminal number one. It's one of their highest things.
Public enemy number one.
Yeah, to look for slaves. They're usually sex slaves. They're usually in dodgy brothels. And like American slaves, they're easy enough to find because they've been tattooed around their genitalia with both religious symbols and denigrating words. And these girls were sucked in between 13 and 14, going Australia. It's a much better life. You'll see the sights. It'll be great. And in they go, and they get fucking transported to Australia in a fucking container. That's 4 weeks in a container with 40 other people.
Yeah.
People die.
It's like season 3 or 4 of The Wire. That's a central plot point. Some Eastern European trafficked women in a container, and one of the gangsters panics, thinking they're going to be found out, so actually shuts off the air vents to deliberately kill all the women so they can't incriminate the gangsters who are running the thing. It's pretty dark. But I mean, this is statistic. If you define a slave as a person who is working against their will and is not being paid for the work they do, and it's impossible for them to escape the situation because they're being held there by force and coercion, there are more slaves in the world today than at any time in history. You nominated trafficked, usually women, not always women, trafficked women that you do get in Western countries, but you get a lot of people. It's less in Australia. It's a bit more in America, but it's very big throughout large sections of Asia, Africa, and the Middle East. Slaves in labor, in factories, in construction. It's fucking shocking. And it's like there was one study that said, because, like our marvelous little smartphones with the rare earth metals in them, that a terrifying majority of the metals that go in to make up a phone are dredged up by slave labor. I think there's an estimate, when you take into account the people who are under slave conditions making clothes, making electronics, working in factories, the average privileged person in a capitalist country effectively has half a dozen slaves. There are slaves that make our lives happen. I was going to say your lives. It's not yours. It's us. It's me. It's this phone. It's. I'm not sure where these clothes were made. If I can look at them and find out, made in Bangladesh.
Those clothes were made in Bangladesh. In China, outsources their clothes.
Yeah.
That's amazing. China outsources. Everybody outsources to China, and China outsources. That
one of the
blows my
yeah,
mind.
one of the best many good lines Douglas Adams had in the Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency book. He had some weird, dodgy bit of electronics, and he said it was made in whatever country was tooling up to do to Korea what Korea had done to Japan. And it's just like the cycle is never ending. As recently as the 60s or 70s, anything made in Japan was regarded as shit. If you actually get something made in Japan now, you assume it's the top quality. And again, until quite recently, stuff made in China was regarded as shit. Thing is, stuff made in China now is of noticeably higher quality. They've outsourced textiles to Bangladesh. They've outsourced electronics to a few places, and it's
Macau,
an
actually, they've outsourced a lot of their electronics to out in Macau.
oh, Emma's thanking us for covering slave labor. It's a real fucking thing. It is really disturbing, and it's really hard to talk about it because you and I it's not like we're the 1% or anything like that, but you and I benefit every single day from
Think
slave
about
labor.
this. Think about this. You go into a shop, you know, it might have
Yeah.
a K in it. There might be a market in it. Or
Yes.
there might be a mucha de bouya
Yeah.
in it. And you rock in and you buy a set of headsets for
Yes.
a phone.
Yeah.
A phone with a radio in it and
Yeah.
touch screen. Think
Yeah.
about all this,
Yeah.
right? This phone with a touch screen, which costs it's a lot of money. It costs you
Yeah.
know, sub $1,000. That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
The technology inside it, if you put it together, if you had to go around and put it together, would
Yeah.
cost you 15 grand.
Yeah.
But besides all that,
Yeah.
if you go and get a set of headphones for that phone, it costs you $7-8. If you buy a mouse pad and a electronic mouse and a keyboard, is again electronic, Bluetooth to your
Yeah.
beauty. No, if you're paying 17 to $30, then you're really getting the top of the line there. Now, let's think about
Yeah.
how that stuff is designed, made, manufactured, transported, checked, transported again, packed, transported again, sent across the world,
Yeah.
gone to distribution centers and then brought to you.
Yeah.
There is no fucking way an alarm clock costs $5. There is no way that money is $5. No fucking way.
Yeah.
Somewhere along the line, someone's paying the cost.
Yeah.
It's not you and me.
Yeah.
It's
They're
not
paying
you and
literally
me.
in blood. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, Stella raises a good point. Even here in our Fairland, she describes work for the dole as slavery. I call work for the dole class warfare. Yeah, it's not slavery because they're being paid something, but I do call it class warfare. I think work for the dole is the most morally reprehensible bit of class warfare we see in this country. It's fucking barbaric. It's so evil.
I was a pensioner and I got invited to go to
Invited?
a work for the dole session.
Yeah.
And I did. And there were 20 people there. Now, that's an old trick. I have been a comic for a long fucking time. And if you go one-on-one with a comic, they will complain. If you go 1-on-20, they'll sit back and listen. I am I, however, am too old to take this shit anymore. And I have been around this system
Yeah.
for so long,
Yeah.
and I have a sore bum from what they have done to me for
Yeah.
so long that
Yeah.
I am not interested in a private company who
Oh, yeah.
gets money for
Yes.
doing fuck all
Yes.
and then gets money for giving me a job
Yes.
and gets money for other people giving me a job. If someone else not attached to them gives
Yeah.
me a job, then they want to know. And then they have the gall to ask for 25% from the employer. And the employer usually tells them to go fuck themselves with something sharp. And that happens a lot. And then they'll talk to me going, they had the gall to ask me this. Then they come to me and said, well, you're breached. And then I go straight off to Centrelink and say, yeah, I'm not breached. And Centrelink says, yeah, you're not breached. And then anyway, they said, oh, how about work for the dole? And I said, oh, how about work for a job?
Yes.
Because you can
If the jobs are
find,
there, why aren't they fucking jobs?
you can find this work for the dole real easy. How about finding a work for a job? You know, this work for the dole.
For a while, lazy. I'm going to go off and rinse this.
No worries, I'll keep going. This fucking work for the dole drops out of the fucking trees like, it's fucking autumn time. But then when it comes time to actually pay a living wage to these fuckers, all of a sudden, this is a huge problem. This is a massive problem. And I'm going, and you know what? These fuckers, they get, their, completion pay, their quota pay for putting people on work for the dole. As in, if they give them a real job, if they can stick them on the work for the job program, job program, they get paid the same amount as them putting people in a job. It is fucking outrageous. When I'm Il Presidente, I'll be shutting that shit down straight away. They were brought in to make this process cheaper.
Yes.
And they have made it 5 times more expensive than it was when it started. And it's not 5 times more expensive than they called it, what is it? Job search. Well, no, what was it called? The CES. The CES. It's not that. No, it's 5 times more expensive than the DSS and the CES combined. And that is an enormous amount of money. And this is just the private job search, people.
Yeah, no, that's the biggest bullshit that ever happened, that private job search.
It was bullshit on a massive scale, and the power that they wield is obscene.
Yes.
What they are allowed to do to people who are working, who are looking for a job, is phenomenal. I am so offended.
No, it is. It is. It's an offense against society. Absolutely. Tell you what, I'm gonna. You missed me explaining this to the folks earlier, but I'm gonna make a martini variant because I made a special brew with. There's these tea bags you get now that are designed to go in cold water. They're like fruit teas to make a refreshing cold beverage, and so of course because they go into cold liquor, so of course it works in spirits. So I put some blood orange tea into vodka, and it's gone this incredibly dark color. So it's a martini. Get it? Get it?
Yeah, I see what you've done there.
Okay, so but this is a variant called a turf club. So normally a martini would just be the vodka or gin and vermouth, but this has a few little extras in it. So that was the vodka, and we put some vermouth in there as well. And now we just put a couple of dashes of these next things in here. This will probably make it go a very interesting or possibly horrifying color. My blue absinthe. Just a dash of the blue absinthe. That's plenty. And a dash of the maraschino liqueur. That's a cherry liqueur. Maraschino cherries. Dash of the maraschino liqueur and bitters. And because I have so many different sorts of bitters, I've got some cranberry bitters here. So a couple of dashes of cranberry bitters in there. And this is a very red drink, hence the idea I had to call it a bloody martini. Now, little tip, kids, no matter what James Bond tells you, martinis are stirred, not shaken, okay? You don't shake martinis, you stir them. Why Ian Fleming come up with that thing? That's interesting. I don't know why Ian Fleming came up with that thing. I think he was probably on fucking cocaine at the time. So we drain that into there. Strain out the ice. Now we have our very elegant bloody martini. It's a little bit lighter because I diluted it with stuff, but it's still quite dark. Let's have a taste, shall we? Oh, that's pretty good. That is pretty good. Chris, hello. How are you? How are you breathing? Breathing is laboured. Bo wants to know, today's look stoned. I think AZ looks sleep deprived because I'm used to his various states. And I'm guessing because he's slightly in Nodland, that's probably the product of no sleep for the last week. Would I be right in guessing that you've been having trouble sleeping?
Well, not so much trouble sleeping.
Yeah.
But denied.
Yes, that's what I mean, denied. Chronic pain will do that to you.
Chronic pain will do that. And also I have had political reasons
Yes.
not to sleep. And I have had to be more responsible than I am normally. See, you can hear it in my inflections. You can hear it in me not just bullshitting more, and me listening to martinis like they are very important news topics, which they are. Let's not fuck around. The angry cocktail hour is something that increases your sexual potential. Basically makes the world go round. We were talking about slavery. If we had more angry cocktails, we would be in a situation where that would be improved. I watched the Snowden. Sorry, go on.
No, it's just saying more cocktails, less slaves.
More cocktails, less slaves. Well, I was watching some interviews from Snowden. He was in Russia having a chat. He did raise a point which made him very, very angry. That the shit that he is in trouble for is legal. It's totally legal. And the way they did it was it was a little bit like China's checkers. They jumped one, then they jumped another one, they jumped it back, then they jumped it this way. And so they did it so that corporations, the government, and the intelligence community was all legal. All of it was legal. because they had to. They put in one law. It was one law that they put in, and it was all legal. And so I was watching Snowdster, and he was the reason he did what he did was he watched this process go on and went, "Fuck you! You are, how dare you? How dare you?" Like that. And he was furious, and he basically went, "You've pissed all over the Fourth Amendment. You've basically shat on everyone's rights." And of course, it's America, so they have rights. In Australia, we're a subject people. We don't have rights. The government wants to pull that shit. They just say, "Guys, we're pulling this shit." And we would go, "Oh, that's fucked." "Nah, it'll be right because it'll stop bikies." "Oh, right. Yeah, okay." It'll stop the one. And they're doing it now. And the New South Wales police started it and said, "Oh, we're tapping everyone to get to the 1%ers." So, that's what we're doing. And New South Wales went, "Well, yeah, they've fucked those guys, so do it." And then the other states followed suit, especially Victoria and Queensland. And the government said, "We're doing it to stop meth." And people said, "Yeah, all right, do that." And it wasn't a trick. It wasn't a "we're fooling you." It was an honest thing. It was like, we're not trying to do this and get something else. No, we're not doing it. We're doing what we say we're doing, and they've done it all the time. The Australian government's done it all the fucking time. They turn up and they say, "Oh, we're doing this thing that's dodgy, but it's to do this," and they go, "Oh yeah, right." On unforeseen consequences, occasionally, yes. I heard it was because when Ian Fleming was in the Navy, quality of the booze was so shit, shaking helped dilute and make it less nasty.
That's why did Fleming come up with shaken, not stirred for martini? Because the British Navy famously, until really recently, still gave sailors a daily ration of gin. That they don't do it now, but up until very recently, definitely during Fleming's time, you got a daily ration of gin, and I imagine it was terrible. And that is the thing when you talk. Why do cocktail mixologists? Why do they shake and whatnot? It does dilute the drink. It aerates it. It does change the flavor, and just a little bit of dilution. It's like if you're having an old fashioned. Traditionally, you'll have a huge fuck off chunk of ice in there and you just swirl it around a bit. And it just dilutes it a little bit. It doesn't really water it down, but it dilutes it a little bit and actually helps some of the flavor come out. I could believe that was the thing they were doing in the Navy, thinking, "Oh my God, I've got to come up with something to make this horrible shit taste better." That would make sense, really.
Did you know, you're right. They don't give them gin anymore, but they give the officers spirits, but the ratings get beer. They get a tot of beer every day, and the officers still get spirits like it's the officers' club, and when Americans, particularly the Americans, turn up with the AV-8Bs, which is jump jets, the VTOL jets, like the Harriers, but beefed up. So they turn up with their AV-8Bs to land on the British aircraft carriers because they're designed for that. And they turn up in their good stuff and turn up to the officers' club. And there's booze everywhere. There's a bar, and these American Marines and sailors are going, "Fuck." And they're drinking over dinner going, if I could do this, I'm going to get pissed. And the British officers are fucking throwing them down and going, oh, yeah, it's good to see you, blah, blah, blah. And the special relationship.
Yeah.
And then in the morning, these
Yeah.
same guys get up and go, all right, let's go for a patrol. And the
Yeah.
Americans going, I can't fucking have a shower.
Yeah.
I gotta go and fly. Okay, yeah, the cab says that we're going in 45 minutes. And it's like,
Mm.
oh my God. And they try and throw some breakfast in.
Yeah.
And their kind British mates say, eggs, steak.
Yeah. I just looked at the history of the rum ration, the Wikipedia page for it.
Rum, sodomy, and the lash.
Yes. That from 1850 to 1970 consisted of 1/8 of an imperial pint, as in 71 mils. So that's 2 shots of rum every day at midday.
Every day. And if you save up your shots for 4
which you
or
could.
5 days, yeah, that's a pint of
Yeah.
rum.
Yeah. But originally it was beer, which was a daily ration of a gallon, which 8 pints. Sailors used to be given 8 pints of beer a day until after the Napoleonic Wars. So beer spoiled easily. It got substituted with wine and then spirits, depending on what was locally available. And then, we were talking about slavery early. One of the areas for slavery was the West Indies, which is the story of rum is the story of slavery. And that's where rum...
apparently sugar was the worst job a slave could get.
The sugar plantations was a big thing.
The worst. Because there was the sugar cane and then there was the sugar processing. And because you always hear about cotton fields, and that sucked. But if you're a slave coming from the cotton fields, going to sugar, it was a hell. And then going from sugar back to cotton, people would say, slaves would say, I have been delivered back to purgatory.
Yeah. I mean, the Caribbean was so bad, it ended up being the only successful slave insurrection in history. Like a slave insurrection that was never overthrown. They became the rulers in the Caribbean. Oh, Daniel has come in and say hi. Hi, Daniel. Stella's saying beer wasn't high alcohol content back then. It probably wasn't super high content. It was probably somewhere between 2 and 4%. But still, 8 fucking pints is a lot. 2 shots of rum is a lot tamer than 8 pints of beer, even if it's low strength beer.
And English beer was still the strongest beer you could get in the English speaking world.
Oh yeah, if you go to an English pub, that's where you get to the ones where you start creeping up towards 10% of. Oh, here's a local stout, sir. You might like this. It's a cheeky little number. Well, drink it quickly. It eats through the glass if you leave it sit.
Well, buddy, one of the favourite tricks in Australia that the Australian sailors pull is the American sailors come in on an aircraft carrier or a boat, and they come out for a beer. Come, fellow sailor, come out for a beer. And they'll go, whack this down. It's a schooner or a pint. Whack this down, and bang, down it'll go. Tastes like an ale. Well, it is a draft ale. Nice pick. And of course, the draft ale is a easy and flowing little beer. Have another.
Americans are used to 2 or 3% alcohol, and the Australians
their strong beer is our light beer, right?
Yeah,
and
their light beer, we say no alcohol beer.
Yeah, and so bang, bang, bang. The Australian sailors will down 5, and the American sailors will keep up with them. and they are dancing on their fucking head.
Yeah.
After 6 beers, they are fucking shattered.
Yes.
And
So after saying Russian beer is around 9%, which is not even mildly surprising, honestly.
No.
I was, oh my God, when, because Mrs. Angry is from jolly old England, and we've gone back a couple times to visit her family. And her ma back in the day was living in, well, I suppose Somerset is a real Zoider country, but she was around the Cotswolds, Bath, and that's fairly, anywhere they grow apples, basically, is like cider country. And there was this fucking, my mother-in-law lived in a little town. I shot some video there. There's some quite cool videos from, this is like from 10 years ago on my channel of walking through this village called Cullen. But up on the hill, a couple miles away, was another village was built into the side of the hill with these weird narrow twisties. And there was a very weird old pub there, like fuck knows how many 100 years old, and how old their fucking cellar was, which was drilled into the side of the hill.
Did it have the creaking sign out
the
front?
creaking sign out the front. Anyway, they had this local cider on tap, and you got something Black Rat cider. And I'm like, I see. I think you're warning me of something. And it was about 10% alcohol. And it was actually really quite nice to drink. But like if you buy cider from a bottle shop, it's going to be 4 or 5%. And this stuff, the aptly named Black Rat, wasn't quite scrumpy, which is like scary farmer shit, which is 15 to 20% alcohol and will send you blind.
And it's whatever. So the scrumpy is American Applejack. You know, you don't know what's in scrumpy.
Yeah.
It's just a local recipe. And the worst scrumpy is the one that tastes fucking great.
Yeah.
Because that's a very old recipe that is dangerous. Like this Applejack that tastes awesome will kill you. Especially in Justified.
Yes. The apple pie. Daniel wants to know what our celebrity couple name would be. Anzi or Adriu. Or do I use a stage name? If Adzi gets to use a stage name, I get to use Angry, so it'd be Angzi or Aidsry. I don't know.
I think it'd be the Angry Azy aristocrats.
Yeah, the aristocrats. Also, with all our talk of Americans and beers, Stella's going, oh, that's why American Friend got smashed on 2.5 beers. Yes, as the old Monty Python line said, why is American beer like sex in a canoe? Because it's fucking close to water. Because English people who are used to, 5 or 6% is pretty fucking mild. Where you get serious local brews, 10% is quite common. So when Americans who are used to a 2 or 3% beer, it's like, no. My other thing is I actually found, after going to this scary fucking pub where, you would expect to be killed by a werewolf if you stayed there after dark on a full moon, they had Black Rat on tap. Actually found the apple orchard where they distilled the ciders. And they had a few. And so big old still
there at night, sir.
Yeah. And you could get, and I got this 2-liter plastic container. Like, you just feel classy as fuck getting this big 2-liter plastic jug and filling it with cider and walking out. It's like, I don't feel like a degenerate at all doing this. And they whack a sticker on the side of your plastic jug saying Black Rat cider. Abigail wants to hear both our versions of the aristocrats. Okay, Aidsies would...
Our versions of what?
The aristocrats. Aidsies would be 5 times longer and 5 times more disgusting than mine. So
you don't want to hear my aristocrats.
Aidsie would probably tell a 45-minute version of the aristocrats. And he would get into actual crime about 90 seconds in, like stuff that could get him imprisoned at about and then it would just go downhill from there.
Put it this way: within 25 seconds,
Yeah.
I'm not safe for work.
Yes. There's did you ever see the documentary Penn and Teller made about the aristocrats, exploring the history and mystique of it? And they highlight the reason they wanted to do it is because a thing that happened like just after 9/11, when the World Trade Center was hit by the planes. Gilbert Gottfried, who's a fairly notorious bad taste comedian, he appeared at something and he did a variation of "I just flew in and boy are my arms tight," and I forget exactly what he said, but it was the equivalent of "I just flew in and that fucking building won't mess with me again."
And everyone said too
everyone
soon.
was everyone was mortified, and he went, "Oh, was that a terrible bad thing to say? I'm sorry." And then he proceeded to go straight into one of the worst versions of the Aristocrats anyone has ever. If you've never heard of the Aristocrats, what it is, it's basically it's an old timey joke. It's a joke comedians tell to each other, and you try and outdo.
It's a professional.
Yeah.
It's a professional marker. It's a masterpiece. It's a master's piece that only masters are not permitted, but only masters are expected to tell amongst, people, but other comedians. Other comedians must be in the room.
Yeah.
And they
It doesn't usually work for an audience. It usually works for other comedians. And basically, the form of the joke, it's like someone goes into an old-timey, it's like the vibe is sort of mid-20th century or earlier, even vaudeville. Someone goes into a talent agent and goes, "Have I got an act for you?" And you go, "What is it?" You go, "Well, it's a family act. I like family acts." And then you then proceed to say the most disgusting things you can about family members having sex with each other, bodily fluids,
you bring
animals.
the family in. You bring the family in.
Oh yeah, you bring here's granddad, here's dad, here's mum, here's the kids, and you tell the most disgusting story you can come up with. They all have sex. It's bodily fluids. It's excrement. It's animals. And the thing with the comedians is you carry on as far as you can. You get worse and worse and worse and worse. And the talent agent is, of course, mortified at the concept of this most disgusting act in history. And the punchline. It's not the punchline. The talent agent says, "What do you call that act?" And the guy goes, "Oh, the Aristocrats." Because it's like the least aristocratic thing ever. And so the punchline is not funny as such, but it's just your excuse for saying the most disgusting thing you can think of is the act's called the Aristocrats.
It's a formula joke. It's formula, literally a formula joke. But the art is what you do between the beginning formula and the end formula, right? The beginning and the end is the formulaic part. And it's also formulaic because the middle section is all punchline. And it's disgusting. It's the kind of thing that comics tell each other to purge the comic in all of us. We've had to be nice to people for a year or two, and then almost disgusting things that you can think of. You're also supposed to use clever ideas. You're supposed to call back when you can. You're also supposed to bring in new ideas in comedy. It's like a PhD. I'm not fucking with you. It's like a PhD.
Yes.
And I can't keep on. Remember, Alyssa Miles said, Tony Havisham rapes me. Anyway, it went on and on. But basically, you do the Aristocrats, and fuck.
Do you remember the American comedian who was very big on TV, Bob Newhart?
Yes.
Very big in the 60s. Bob Newhart was very funny. But his whole persona was being slightly uncomfortable the whole time.
Yes.
And I was on a website, I think it was McSweeney's Internet Tendency. It was just written, it was like Bob Newhart doing the Aristocrats, but he's the talent agent and it's being explained to him over the phone. And so it's Bob Newhart just reacting to someone telling him the Aristocrats on the phone. And it was really funny because it's just, oh, so you've got a new act for me. Good. Okay. A family act. I like that. Yes. And I'm not sure why they do that. Oh, no. Oh, no. No. And it's just this whole thing of this really sort of neurotic, repressed, nervous guy being told the most disgusting things, and you don't hear what he's being told. It's just these reactions of,
well done, Bob.
I thought you said it was family, and it was. I'm not capturing it at all, but it was very funny. Anywho,
Gilbert Gottfried said the joke about the towers, and then they were all going on too soon. That's fucked. Then he launches into the Aristocrats.
Yeah.
And his Aristocrats lasted an hour and 20 minutes. And apparently it was such a outpouring of catharsis that finally the comics said that they could work again. And Gilbert Gottfried knew fucking well what he was doing. He knew fucking well that the Towers joke was too soon. And he knew that the comics needed to have their boil burst. And he did it in the way that comics are supposed to do it. And he basically said, get back to work. You know what we have to do. And you know that we have to do it. And I have shown you that this is what we do. We are needed, and there is always something we can do and get it done. And the comics in the room said that they felt lifted. They felt like they were given permission once again to do what they need to do, to go to work, to to make this right. And and they said, Gilbert comes off as a bad man, and he is, but he's a master. He's a true master of what he does. And it's gone down in history as one of the most amazing.
Oh, absolutely. I was trying to find, and if you search Gilbert Gottfried 9/11 and stuff, I'm trying to find what the actual joke he said. I'll see if I can find it.
And I will.
He told a 9/11 joke, lost the audience, and no. Was it a Hugh Hefner roast a few days after September 11th? And why did you do it? I don't know. Maybe I'm self-destructive. Maybe I'm stupid.
Was that Hugh Hefner?
Yeah, it was a roast. He did it at a roast for Hugh Hefner. And someone saying, "Why did you do it?" I don't know. This is what he said. He said, "I have to leave early tonight. I have to catch a flight to LA. I couldn't get a direct flight. We have to make a stop at the Empire State Building." That's what he said. He said, "It's not a direct flight. We have to make a stop at the Empire State Building." And that was really soon after 9/11. And he said the room just went woof.
Yeah.
And that's reputed to be the first time someone yelled too soon. And that's what everyone says now when you make a joke about. I swear to God, I was saying something about the Titanic once, and someone got upset that was offensive, and they were basically saying too soon, and I was like, dude, there is literally no one alive on the planet who knew anyone who died on the Titanic. It's like
Yeah. It's
I'm not
100 years old.
Yeah, but yeah. So that's what that was his joke. It's not a direct flight. We have to make a stop at the Empire State Building, and
And
that went as bad as a joke can possibly go.
but he did the Aristocrats after that, didn't he?
Yeah, he just launched into the Aristocrats and a really extreme version of it.
I'm absolutely certain that he set that up. I am
No,
absolutely
he
certain.
did. I don't know if he set the Aristocrats up, but he said that the joke was like the interview I was just reading said, was that off the cuff of playing? No, I wrote the joke. I just thought he basically went, I want to be the first person to make a joke about it.
Yeah.
And they said, like, it really fucked up. Why did you do it? And I love him saying, like, I don't know. Maybe I'm stupid.
When Princess Diana died,
Yeah.
there was a big night at the ESPY, and there was a lot of comics backstage.
Yeah.
Because it hadn't started. And while I was on the tram, one of the conductors, yes, boys and girls, we used to have conductors.
Yes.
One of the conductors said, and she was all tearful, ladies and gentlemen, the news has just come through. Prince Diana has died. And there are a few comics on the tram looking at each other sideways going, get me to the ESPY.
Yes, I've got a joke in mind.
And so we got there, and everyone was going, who's on first? And so a few of the 5-minute guys were on first, and we went, oh, fuck that, don't worry about it. And then the middle bracket was looking at each other, and the seniors were looking at the middle bracket going, not happy. And then the order, the running order came through, and it was like the first guy up went fucking sweet, because if you could get the joke on stage first, then you owned it, and it had to be good. That was the other thing. It had to be good. So there was a lot of pressure. And so not all the guys were freaking out, because we were looking at this first guy going, yeah, maybe, but he'll probably fuck it. And then my friend from New Zealand was there. It was his first gig at the ESPY. And he said he was stunned at these people basically getting ready to make jokes about this poor woman's death. And then he said, is it okay to make fun of a woman's death? And apparently because I might have been a young, ambitious, upcoming, aggressive comedian, said, does anyone know her here? No?
Yeah.
Well, fuck her. She's fair fucking game. And I was agreed with. And yes, ladies and gentlemen, I think you'll find my joke was second in line as being one that was allowed to be spoken, because you're allowed to have 3 comics. There's 3 comics who can have the joke in order, as long as they're split apart and have different ideas. The best one came out. I'm disappointed because I was going to give Lady Di a present for Christmas, like you do for the royal family. It was packaged nicely. It was a fucking seatbelt, and fucking brilliant. So anyway, jokes like that.
But I mean, even as kids, when we were kids, when something horrible happened, it was always a quest to who could say an awful joke about it, like the Union Carbide Bhopal disaster. For anyone too young to know, look it up. 1984, the Union Carbide chemical factory released a toxic cloud that killed an entire fucking village. Like, I fuck knows how many people. And within days, if not the same day, I remember at school, because this was 1984, and Madonna was a big thing with all her naughty, sexy behavior. And the joke we had at school was, what's the difference between Madonna and Union Carbide? The answer is, not even Madonna can fuck a whole village in one night. And it's like, you would rush to say the worst thing you could possibly say. Because there was no internet to shame you. And even if you went too far and your small group of friends went, that's really fucked, they'd forget about it in a day or two. So
they'd make the same joke thinking it was there. Fucking the thing that really annoyed me about Bhopal, and it did annoy me, was that the manager of Bhopal and the control operators in the control box fucking got out of there, got in the same minivan and fucked off.
One of my favorite podcasts, Behind the Bastards, has a good episode on the Bhopal disaster. Did a lot of research into how basically everyone in the Union Carbide, and I mean the American board of directors at the Union Carbide company, should all be in fucking prison for life. But anyway, I'm going to sign off. We're talking about Princess Diana. This one from Stella after Di hit the tunnel. The kids at school the next day were singing "Zippity Dodie Zippity Die" the next day. That's brutal.
My oh my! What a fucking
You do a whole song on that. Anyway, we've run a little bit over, but that's okay. But it's certainly bedtime, so I'm going to say goodbye before you find people.
Oh, we have run over. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I was late too.
No, that's okay.
I was masturbating furiously, and I just thought, because it was only when I started thinking of angry that anything happened.
Yeah, and you got to finish what you start, so that's okay. So goodbye to all you fine people.
Thank you so much for letting me be on your device, even if I was late.
Yep. And look after yourself, one and all. And if you're somewhere like where we are, where it's really fucking hard to breathe, be careful. And know that the face mask you're wearing is probably completely fucking useless. And if I get cancer from this,
it's better than nothing.
Well, arguably, no, it isn't. That's the sad thing, that the stuff that causes damage is the really microscopic particulate matter.
Oh, yeah.
And 99% of the masks people wear do fuck all. And the ones that do work, if you have a beard, it doesn't work. It has to be a seal around your face. So I can't wear one anyway. So fuck it. If I get cancer from this shit, well, I won't say I'm going to go on a killing rampage for everyone I regard to be a climate criminal, because that would be illegal for me to say that. I'm just saying they should watch their fucking back. Because I'm a pretty reasonable person, but I could imagine people who had loved ones who died because of incidents like this thinking some of these fuckers ought to pay. Not productive, but I could imagine someone feeling that. And on that cheery thought, I'm going to click the end broadcast button and say bye to one and all.